One of the most interesting things about being a musician is hearing the difference between the people that learned music theory and the people that chose not to, or were too lazy to. I'm one of those souls that grew up playing pop punk, so I was like, learn theory for what, you know? I can play power chords and sing about how my girlfriend broke my heart for the rest of my life. Speaking of pop punk, I'm actually in my old pop punk bandmate studio right now. My boy Jake from Mighty Tortuga. I use them in examples a lot of the time. But back to what I was saying. I did what not a lot of pop punk kids do, you know? I grew up. I found myself with a much wider music palette that changed everything I knew or everything that I thought that I knew. Math rock, metal, prog music, all made me realize that theory is important, but I still wasn't willing to take the time to learn everything I needed to for it. Which brought me to a realization. I had to find a way to live amongst the Berkeley kids without actually putting in the work. I was still kind of a punk at heart. So by the end of this video, I'll be giving you my top tips for getting by in songwriting without having to learn music theory. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and when I first started songwriting on guitar, the extent of my knowledge was open, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9 is major, open, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8 is minor. That's it. And I found myself constantly writing within the confines of that. But when you write with that mindset, you start to notice that all of your songs sound like another song. Uninspiring, in the same chord progressions as 100 other songs or a million other songs that you've heard before. It's inevitable that this is gonna happen because technically every song has been written at this point. But there are little tricks you can learn within the scope of those progressions to make them more interesting. And we're gonna get more into that later, but there's a plugin I really want to have a convo about for people that don't know. So yeah, the first plugin that I'm gonna be talking about in this episode comes from a company called Mixed in Key, and the plugin is called Captain Melody Epic. You know, one of the craziest time savers I think I've ever seen. You literally drop a song into it and it can and will tell you the key that the track's in. This is sort of a must for DJs these days, but it's also for beat makers, mixers, or producers that are constantly getting asked by bands if we remember the key a song is in. It's like, you wrote it, my guy, but sure. Let me be the one to tell you what it was. It's just an all-around beautiful plugin, and I haven't seen anything like it before, and it makes your life really simple. I don't want to make a whole section about this, but they also have another plugin, and that plugin's called Captain Chord, in which you can make chord progressions for songs, some even specifically based by genre. But there is a plugin that I already use that does a similar thing. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. Let's move on to our next topic. Number 2. Another tool that makes life really simple, it's by Antares and it's called AutoKey. You know, I find it interesting that no one ever talks about this thing. It's a really big time saver because it's a key and scale detector. You can use it live or on pre-recorded material. And what's amazing about this plugin is that if you're mostly singing in a scale, but there are notes outside of it, it can determine what the actual scale is. And I've used this on vocals and bass before to determine the key and scale of a track. It's also really helpful when you're recording an artist and want to use auto-tune in the live mode, but you don't know the key. So you just put it on chromatic, and no one wants to do that, you know? It's probably like the most annoying thing you could do. But yeah, they can sing the melody on the spot and it will automatically put it into the key. And then you can link it directly to all the instances of autotune, so they all change for that project. Be careful though, because if you're using Reaper with multiple sessions, and I learned this the hard way, if you're using Reaper with multiple sessions, it will change all of your open sessions to the same key, not just the one that you have it instantiated in. You know, that kind of ruined an entire project for me once. The next tool for those that don't know music theory, and this is for writers by the way, TuneTrack Easy Keys. And Easy Keys is a piano plugin that will give you chord progressions in the key of your choice. I mentioned a different plugin that does this earlier, but the difference about Easy Keys is how visually it shows you the chord structures. There are MIDI notes you can drag and drop, and when you import MIDI into the program, it tells you what the name of each of the chords are. I've used this to make entire songs before, or to break down the chords chosen in MIDI tracks that I've received. And it really makes it possible to actually learn theory based on just seeing how the chord structures work together visually. You know, I know this episode's more about not having to learn music theory, but I definitely learned some of it accidentally just by using this plugin pretty often. So let's go into the fourth one. And this one's really simple. It should kind of be the first thought on everyone's mind when you're thinking about learning songwriting or theory. Just learn how to play other people's songs. You know, so many people now are making music and they've never actually picked up an instrument before. You know, I sit and I see people with MIDI keyboards sitting in front of them. They made a million beats and they've never touched it before. And I think that that's kind of messing up the way that music is going, but that's for a whole nother discussion. I think I might make a video on that too. Pick up an instrument and physically learn how to play other people's songs. That is one of the biggest ways you're going to learn how to get by without music theory and help you with your melody choice. Because this is going to teach you how other people are stringing chords together in the genre of your choice. I did this on piano and guitar, and after learning about 20 different songs, you start to learn really quickly that there aren't that many chord progressions that people use, especially in rock or metal music. It only really starts to get tricky in jazz and blues, but that's when I would reach for something like easy keys. You know, that really helps out seeing the chord structures right in front of me. But if you are gonna kind of put this into practice, one thing that I want you to do is not look up the tabs right away. Try to learn the songs by ear, because this is going to help you be able to recognize those progressions more quickly when you try to learn the next song. And then you'll be able to start differentiating between major and minor. All of those things will be really helpful for you, whether you're starting out or you've been doing this for a long time. So let's go over all of these topics one more time. Mixed in key, Antares auto key, easy keys. I'm starting to realize that most of these have the word key in it. And of course, you can't forget the most obvious, just learning how to play people's songs. That should have been the first thing that I led with. And using these will make your life really simple when you're a bit confused on the key of a song, or whether you feel stuck with your lack of chord knowledge. But what you find out by using these tools is you accidentally start learning theory. I think that's amazing. And it's a catch-22 that's gonna provide you tons of benefits down the line. Do you think that you'll use any of these or try them out? Do you have anything that helps you avoid learning music theory? Leave it in the comments below and I will chat with you fine people like I always do. And if by chance anyone wants to see me writing a song with these tools, I'm down to make a video on that too. So also leave that in the comments below, because I would actually have a lot of fun doing that. Maybe a live stream or something. And if you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time. And tap that bell for notification so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, my friends. Catch you later.